So, before we get into today's video, what's going on, guys? It's SuperNoon. We're back at it again with another Kid Buu video. Alright, I'm gonna teach you guys today how to beat Kid Buu. I feel like this is something a lot of people have asked for, and a lot of people want to know because they struggle with fighting this character. I don't think this character is too hard to fight. So, but before we get in the video, remember to leave a like on the video, comment, let me know what you guys think, what you guys want to see from me in future videos, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you. Alright, so let's get into it. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about fighting Kid Buu is his normals aren't the best. When you think about like anti-airing, like my jab isn't gonna like anti-air, and even if I jail, I can't do like LL most of the time. It's like too inconsistent, you know, like if they block. But you're never gonna get someone blocking like this, like from full screen. You're not just gonna like run up and just do it, right? It's too risky to do that. But his jab's not really good at like anti-airing, especially like if you're close, because that could happen. And even if you hit them, it doesn't always combo. It wouldn't combo, right? Like Bardock, let's say. Right, where it just combos for you. You don't even have to think about it. That is a weakness in itself. 1M, I would say a lot of Kid Buu players rely on 1M, and for a good reason, just as M moves in general. They're fast, and they open up a lot of damage for Kid Buu in general, too. It's like, this character is very ground-based. All his normals are ground-based, with the exception of like air jab and jump S. Because they open up options to EX ball. So when fighting Kid Buu, you have to think about the options he has from where he is on the screen, and that really makes the matchup a lot easier. It's like, okay, he's full screen. What can he do? He could call assist. He could do S. He could do 2S or S into S, right? So by using like process of elimination against this character, you start to understand what he can do to you, rather than like, oh man, I don't want to let him get near me because then I can get hit, right? Like the thing about fighting a lot of these top tier characters, a lot of it is mindset. If your mindset is really bad going into the match or going into like the matchup against this character, more often than not, they're gonna be able to do like just run you over, right? So I would say a very important thing is to stay very like level-headed and just try to not tilt when playing against these characters. So that's super important. But yeah, like most of his normals are pretty stubby, and like if you whiff this, like look at how minus you are. You're minus 35. It's so much recovery. If you whiff this, you're gonna die. If you whiff this, his 2H is horrible. It whiffs all the time. My jab, like all his buttons are great if you're on the ground, with the exception of like 2H, right? All his buttons are great. You have this, you have 5M, 2M, 5S, 5H, auto combo. All the buttons are great if you're on the ground, but if you're jumping, it's kind of hard. But then again, if you're jumping and you're playing against a good Kid Buu player, that opens up, right, a mix-up. So we'll get to that soon. And like, Kid Buu's main approach, it's air-to-airing you, and then when you get tired of being like air-to-aired, like eventually you're gonna stick on the ground. Or I have an assist like this that lets me get a mix-up, right? So that's kind of like the game plan, is like condition my opponent into not doing a certain option and then just reacting to them. A lot of Kid Buu's gameplay is just reactionary. A lot of the like lower level Kid Buu players that I've seen play, like they'll kind of just try to like force options, but this character at the highest level, you don't really need to do that. But basically the general approach is, like I said, you kind of just wait and see what your opponent is doing, and then you react and create a positive scenario for yourself based on the option that your opponent chose, right? So that is kind of like the first step to understanding how to fight this character. And then the other thing too is like he's very reliant on assists. Like sure, his neutral is good, but when you think about it, his neutral is really just 5S, EX ball, which leaves him minus, because you can air-to-air jab me, or you can mix me up if I have no air dash, right? You can jab that for sure. So it leaves me in like a not advantageous state, but not minus. I'm at disadvantage there for sure. I'm only a -2 in the air, but you can still jail me, or you can still try to mix me up, right? Because I'm airborne, so you can cross me up. There's a lot of things you could do there. But his neutral is still good, and that's where the game plan of Kid Buu, like waiting and reacting, comes into play. Like once you blow your assist, like no Kid Buu's just gonna run forward, because what are they gonna do, right? And then that leads me to talk about this string. This string is Kid Buu's best friend, and you've probably seen a million Kid Buu players do this string. Whoops. It was made really popular by Sonic when they picked up Kid Buu again. They made it super popular to just do this. 5S, 5H, 2S. Right? Mid-screen, unless they're crouching, it's not a true block string. So you gotta keep that in mind. Mid-screen, it's not too scary, but the thing that's scary about this is the S and the 5H. And then 5H, 2S, right? Because off of 2S, he could still extend the pressure. And then off of S, you can easily just stagger into 1M again. But he can also frame trap you from 5S, 5H, catching you jumping. And if I 5S, I can just dash OS. Unless the person is mashed. So this is designed for you to react to the person like super dashing, right? So it's like if I'm mashing super dash, I'll lose there to 5H. So it auto beats mashing. If I'm reflecting, he's safe anyway unless I mash an option there. But typically, for the sake of the video, I recorded the bot without delays. But typically, there's a lot of delays in the string that will allow the Kid Buu player to be able to react to the person's options, right? So even if I were to... See, I put a slight delay on it, and I still super dashed, and then the 5H still came out, right? So that's where like the mind game begins with this character. Like the 5S, 5H, 2S mind game, that string is really strong. And then another general rule, or let me go back to like camping. The idea of like camping, right, and just playing like lame neutral, is like once you blow both of these assists, there's no reason for me to go in. That's when the whole like air-to-air game, or like 5S into 2S game like begins from like full screen. There's no reason for the Kid Buu player to go in. So there's really no reason for you to run at them too, because that's kind of what Kid Buu wants. It's really weird to understand, but Kid Buu players, or at least I do, and a lot of other people that I've played, like, we kind of agree that like when people approach us, it makes the game a lot easier. It's like, wow, you made the decision first, so now I get to react, right? That's like I said, his gameplay is very reactionary. So when he approaches you, like if I see you jump, I'm like, oh, he jumped, he can't do anything to me, so I'm gonna air-to-air him, because you can't possibly react to me, you know, either dashing up doing nothing, or dashing up jumping, right? Or just doing 2S and jailing you, or me super dashing you, unless you have like a DP or something like that, right? Air DP. So yeah, I mean, like that's where the idea of like Kid Buu like laming you out, like just waiting for his time for you to make a decision and for him to react to. You kind of have to play the same way. You have to play very lame against Kid Buu, but then you have to be ready for the Kid Buu player to like switch up the tempo. It's like, okay, he's laming me out, so now I'm gonna go in and hit 1M or something like that, right? And this is all without assists. When he has assists, it's kind of hard to play against him. Like I will say, like Kid Buu with assists is very strong, but what he does lose to is like you have to be able to keep up with the tempo and the momentum that like this character like inherently like establishes in the game. Like he makes the game very fast, but he can also make it very slow. But most of the time it's like very fast, high pace. Like if you ever watched me play, Bomb play, Sonic Fox, Kazunoko, right? Like any of the like top players playing Kid Buu, like the game is never slow. Like it'll slow down for like a couple seconds, right? For neutral, but then like immediately it just picks back up, like no matter what, because that's just what this character like forces you to play, and it's really fun for me. I'm sure it's not fun to play against, right? But yeah, and then another general rule that I see a lot of people still get hit by, if Kid Buu is like hanging out like right here, don't hit a button, just run away. You don't need to approach him, because most of the time people are just gonna do this. There's no reason not to do it. There's really no reason to not EX ball. Like if I'm chilling up here, why would I not EX ball? Right? Like you're just standing there, or you're just chilling there, so you're gonna let me get a mix up. right? You're gonna let me get a mix-up if you're just standing there. So that's the other thing too about fighting Kid Buu is you have to be very mobile. You can't give him any free like block strings or free turns and stuff like that, because it just makes it like so much easier for the Kid Buu player just to play the game, right? Because that's all they want to do. They want to make you block, and they want to do like a 50-50 block string on you, right? Because the 5S, 5H, 2S string opens up everything. I can do 5S, nothing, restart my string, get my assist into DR, or I can do like ball into EX, or 2S into EX ball, or 2S into ball, call sis, right? Get a mix up if I time it right. Right? So I mean, like those are the options, and that's the thing that makes Kid Buu, I think, frustrating to fight for most people. Is like they understand the options, but they don't know how it's like formatted and how it like all strings together. So yeah, that's the other thing. Just keep in mind. And generally, Kid Buu's damage isn't too high unless he hits you with a couple different starters. Like if he hits you with 1M, right, the damage is gonna be high. You're gonna take about like 50%. But yeah, the damage will always be high off medium starters. Like usually, if you get hit off this, you will die the next touch, right? Like generally speaking, if you get mixed, because then he just does the corner combo if you get hit high. And at this point, you've built like a bunch of meter, and then you just dump the meter, right? And then I'll lead into his mix-ups later. Generally speaking, the damage is low, because if I hit you off jab, unless I spend an assist, you're not taking too much compared to other characters. You're taking 3k, and I get a sliding knockdown, and I built about a bar, right? A little bit over. So it's not too bad if you just get hit by, you know, a jab or something like that. But if you get hit by like 2H, right? Like, of course, his H moves are his most damaging. Like, his H moves are always going to be most damaging. That's why the 5S, 5H frame trap is so good. Because if I were to just do 5S, delay, I could just get a full combo, right? Because I'm just going to carry you to the corner anyway. And then you're probably dead, right? Because then I could just dump 1-1-1. That's going to do like 80%. Or maybe you're not, right? It depends on where you are in the game. But either way, the point is, he gets access to big damage off of these buttons, right? 1M, H, 2H, 5M, right? Or like auto combo. You'll just die if you get hit by 5LL. So, yeah, those are like the main ideas for like how they want to hit you. Like, if they hit you, right, because the damage is low, if they hit you with jabs, they're going to want to do mix-ups. Like, because the damage is so low, so they're just going to go for, like, corner carry. And now they have to go for a mix-up. Right? Now they have to go for a mix-up. And they're going to do it either way, but unless you get hit... So here's a tip. Getting hit by Kid Buu overhead is the worst thing you can do. But a general tip to block Kid Buu is just hold back. So block high, react low. And it can be really hard, because I feel like a lot of people second guess themselves. But you can do it. It's pretty hard to do. Yeah, with Bardock it's a little bit harder to make it gel. But yeah, like, you can do that. But generally, that's what you want to do for like the high-low mix-ups, is react low, block high. Because that's the easiest thing to do than blocking low and reacting high, right? Because you just hold back, and if they go low, you just hold down back, right? You just tap down. And it's easier to block that way. Not saying the mix-up's easy to block, it's still hard. Especially like, you know, when you're in a match, it's still hard to block. The other thing that people, I don't think, know, if they do this string and it's not EX ball, it's not a block string anyway. You should just stamp block after you block the 2S. And then you can just punish them for doing something like that. Don't commit to auto combo. Just commit to forward dash, because you can dash block, right? Just commit to dash block. And then if you see them not do anything, then you should 5H. How often should you try guard canceling gumball? Well, see, the thing about the gumball mix-up is you really have to gauge whether or not, if you get hit, are you going to die? Or if you get hit by the mix-up, are you going to be put in a scenario where you could lose the game because you got hit? So that's really up to you to decide. Because the thing is, you have to react to the gumball. You want to guard cancel when you see him do the ball. You shouldn't guard cancel any earlier or any later. When you see him do the animation of the ball, that's when you want to guard cancel. But the thing is, right, it doesn't really matter to the Kid Buu player that you guard canceled, because they're going to get their assist back. It doesn't matter. But you wasted a meter and you're put on meter cooldown. So you have to play really carefully after you guard cancel there. Because if you get hit again, like there, you're kind of screwed. The Kid Buu player can't do anything once they start up the gumball. So a really common bait is they'll do assist, 5H, nothing. Right? Because most people aren't reacting to the gumball startup. They're just, oh, 5H, I should guard cancel here. The guard cancel, if the Kid Buu player baited them, they'll just wait and 2H the guard cancel, right? So you want to wait until you see the startup, right? It's super reactable. I'm not mashing it. I'm not doing anything like that. It's super reactable for guard canceling, right? And I guard cancel that super late. I'm just stuck in block stun from the 5H into the assist. So it's super reactable to guard cancel if you have access to meter. But that's the problem, right? Is like at the start of the game, you don't have access to meter all the time. So it's pretty hard if you get jailed right away to get out of that mix-up. The only time I would say Kid Buu is scary damage-wise in terms of getting hit by this mix-up is the high in the corner. The low, you have access to big damage options as well, but it's your damage is tied into your assists, right? So generally, getting hit by the high in the corner leads to a bigger reward. So like if you just get hit by a mid, if you just get hit by like jab or something in the corner, right? They're just gonna do like 3k, build like a meter and a half. So generally speaking, you want to do your best to block the high. Because if you get hit by the high, it leads into really big damage. So let's just say for the sake of the video, we just hit you high. And I built about 2 meters, right? The damage is already better, and I build all about 2 meters, right? So that makes it, if I spend EX, my combo is going to be long enough that I negate the meter cooldown and still almost build 2 meters. So that's why getting hit by the high in the corner is pretty bad, right? That's like the worst case scenario. And like if you have, the whole point of Kid Buu is to build meter in the corner, right? When you hit someone. So like if you hit someone high, you always want to do that combo because you always want to build a meter. And then you're just going to dump all your meter anyway because your damage is tied to your meter, right? So you get hit high. Oh, I don't have a DR button. Whoops. But yeah, then you just DR and like super, right? So that is where like all your damage comes from. Mainly is your meter. Outside of getting hit by like, you know, the 5H, 1M. Because you get hit by 1M in the corner, it's like you're just gonna take a lot of damage, right? And then you just dump the meter, and then you're dead, probably. If you got hit before this, you're dead, because he'll always do like 3k minimum. So that's a good general rule. So that's why learning how to defend against the high-low mix-up in the corner is really important. It's hard, but it can be done, right? It is hard, but it can be done. So that's kind of like the risk and the reward of getting hit by the high and the low. I kind of touched on it earlier, but his mix-ups mid-screen are not that strong. His mix-ups mid-screen are not that strong. That's why Kid Buu players will usually go for this string, right? EX ball is good if you're crouching. And then there's this recording, right? This is if they just want to go straight into the mix-up. So notice the differences between this string. Right? This is them staggering. That's more of like, that's more them trying to react to you doing things than forcing you into a mix-up, really. This string is just them saying like, okay, screw it, I want to do a mix-up, right? But look at the difference in the timing and the high between normal medium EX ball or medium ball to EX ball, right? The mix-up is a lot faster. But this one was, I believe, showing that you can't go low. So like off of this, you can't really go low if they set it up to be gapless. They can't go low with light. So the mix-up is a lot easier to block mid-screen. So that's why the ball mix-ups aren't really that strong. They'll have to do delay like M, and that's really just like a reaction test. If you get hit by the 1M, your reactions are pretty slow on defense. So that's kind of like, you kind of have to work on it. So that's the thing about this game is like defense and defending mix-ups. It's like you have to be able to react and play accordingly against your opponent, right? And tailor your reactions to the matchup you're playing. Okay, so then one of the last things I have to explain about this character is kind of like common areas Kid Buu likes to hang out and where Kid Buu struggles to deal with. So Kid Buu kind of, even though I mentioned his air-to-air game is strong, jumping is so strong in DBFZ, like he can't stop you unless he has GT assist, right? He can't stop you from jumping and running away from him because it forces him to go forward, right? And that's bad because Kid Buu wants to play reactionary, so he doesn't want to have to make a decision first, right? Or the Kid Buu player rather. Kid Buus like to hang out. Like Kid Buus love to hang out like in this mid, like this 3/4 screen, not fully in the corner, but like kind of like right here. They love to chill right here because it gives them access. At least for me, like it gives me access to this assist. I can cover the ground. I can cover the air with this. I can 2S call my assist. I can cover a lot of things. I can super dash assist, get a mix up, a lot of stuff like that. Like it's very strong. This like mid range. I have access to 1M. I have access to 2S, I have access to 5S, like all that good stuff, right? So you kind of want to be careful of hanging out here for too long because it's just going to give the Kid Buu player what they want. Like you're going to allow them to just jail you. Kid Buus love to like float around just to buy time. Most of the time they're not really trying to mix you up or like gain advantage here. They're kind of just trying to buy time for their assists most of the time when they're hanging out here. So it can be a little annoying, but just don't bite into the bait. Most of the time, Kid Buu players are just trying to like bait you into doing something. Is like the game plan. So you don't want to get baited by that because most of the time people do. They get very impatient and feel like they have to make a decision. So they do, and it usually ends up biting them. So yeah, you don't have to go in. A lot of the matchups I'm gonna be explaining throughout this series of how to beat a character, right? A lot of it is patience and just waiting for your turn and not giving the character what they want. A lot of characters have win conditions. So Kid Buu's win conditions, a lot of his win conditions are based on the opponent doing something first and the Kid Buu player taking advantage of it. But yeah, I mean, basically like that's where they love to hang out. Like this part of the screen as well, like jumping like quarter screen, because they get access to EX ball, right? They see you call an assist, or they see you do something, and it's just like, oh, 5S EX ball, it's time, right? So that's the idea behind like hanging out here, floating, or like they'll hang out here, wait for you to move forward. This is really popularized by Kazunoko. Like they'll hang out, float, and then like air dash hit a button, right? Like when you're chasing them. It's like if I were floating away, if I were to jump float away, I would kind of float away, float in, and then air dash last second just to check if you're coming in. That's something that Kazunoko really made popular. So that's another thing to keep in mind for like when Kid Buu players like want to try and switch it up. So it's pretty interesting. This character has a lot of options, but a lot of them are based on, people making mistakes and everyone trying to take advantage of it. So yeah, like you just have to not get like conditioned. You just have to play very reactionary against this character. It's super frustrating. I will say that. It is for sure super frustrating, but that's kind of part of the matchup. You're playing against a top tier character, right? But yeah, I would say if you're having difficulty against character, kind of just set the mod to do these mix-ups. They're really common strings, and there's something that they can let you practice and get used to doing. You get used to his strings, get used to the movement options, stuff like that. is there a move Kid Boos like to stop their string on? Usually it's 5S. Or some people like to do 2M or 1M, but you're minus 10, so you're punishable. So that's why 2M, 5M is pretty good. 5M, you're only minus 5, so you're safe either way. You could backdash, and then that's where like the backdash mind game begins, or you could dash block and block their jab. So you could do like, and then the other like common area people love to do is 5S, like I explained earlier with the 5S 5H string. People love to do button whatever 5S because it's only minus 3. If you super dash, I can just react to 2H, or I'm hitting 5H anyway. If you reflect me, you'll reflect the 5H. If I see you do that, I'm safe because I'm full screen. So it's pretty simple at that point for the Kid Buu player to just react and punish you as long as they're not like brain dead. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for me for this video. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, guys, don't forget, leave a like, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you can know whenever we upload. And yeah, let me know in the comments the next character you guys want to see, or any feedback you guys want to give me. If you have any other questions about Kid Buu, stuff like that. But yeah, catch you guys in the next one. See ya!